Hey everyone. I planned to just be doing Halloween themed videos this month, but I'm working on that and I figured that while I might as well try to review something else. And that would be the series finale to the Disney sitcom Dog with a Blog. Now, if any of you out there follow me, or should I say those of you out there who follow me on DeviantArt or Twitter, you may know that I actually like this show. I know it's a show that a lot of people don't like, that think it's stupid and unfunny, and I don't know, they just don't like it, but I think it's pretty good. I think it is, or should I say it was, one of the better live-action kids shows on TV today. But maybe I'll get a little bit into why that is in this video, but for now I'm just here to talk about this episode, the series finale. Okay, so in this episode, it isn't really anything that has kind of been like building up from earlier in the series. Oh, by the way, there will be spoilers, so if you haven't seen it and you'd like to see it, I wouldn't watch from here on. Okay, so in this episode, Stan basically ends up. The title of the episode is Stan's Secret is Out. So basically, the kid's parents, Ellen and I can't remember the father's name for the life of me, find out that Stan can talk. How does this happen? Well, basically, it ends up being Stan and the kids' 3-year anniversary, which is, makes sense because the show's been on for 3 years. So it's their 3-year anniversary since they've all been a family. Since they got Stan, basically, the dog. They throw him a little party, and then Stan wants to give the kids a gift. So for some reason, he decided to get them a giant piano, which he's like holding from like a cord, and it's like dangling from the ceiling, and he's trying to hide it from the parents. But they end up like standing under it in the living room. And he tries to bark to get them to move out of the way. They don't notice it at all. They're arguing about something. So then he has to speak, and he says, just kind of instinctually, "Move, get out of the way." So they move, get out of the way, the piano falls to the ground, crashes. And then, so it's like, okay, they found out that he talks. Yeah. And there's been this whole thing throughout the show where the kids are always worried that if they found out, they're going to send him away to be experimented on, which, they've hinted before that they actually would do, hypothetically. But once they kind of get to know Stan, and when they see how much the kids care about him, they say, no, of course we're not going to do that. And that's where it gets interesting, because it almost kind of seemed like this episode wanted to do a couple of different plots. Just a general, it's like they wanted to do a whole plot based around, the parents find out Stan talks, so that they send him away to be experimented on. But they couldn't really do that because it would kind of make them too unlikable. So basically, they're okay with it. But then, there's a problem. So Stan goes to see their neighbor Carl, who also knows that Stan talks, and he starts talking to him. And then it turns out his father, played by Darren Norris, who you would know as Gordy from Ned's Declassified and the voice of Cosmo and Timmy's dad from Fairly Odd Parents. But yeah, Carl's father, Carl's their neighbor, overhears them, and he finds out that Stan can talk. And he's in the Navy, so he assumes that Stan is an alien, and he wants to kind of basically go and get the, the space program. He wants to contact them and, get them to experiment on Stan, take him away and all this stuff. So the episode, it does actually have some pretty good jokes in it, but I was saying this on Twitter, I feel like this episode should have been kind of a two-part, because they had to do, they wanted to do kind of a few different things. It's like, first they're doing the whole Stan's secret is out thing to the parents, and then they're doing kind of the whole, Stan being taken away to be experimented on, and then there's just this other thing where Stan's old owner shows up, who has appeared in other episodes, who we learn in other episodes, spoiler, that he's an evil scientist who was experimenting on Stan. He wasn't the one who made Stan talk, by the way, but he was just an evil scientist experimenting on Stan. And, he wants to take Stan away. And there's a bunch of people coming in who want to take Stan away, the army, and a bunch of people like that. Oh yeah, one thing that kind of bugs me is the whole idea of an evil scientist kind of always seemed a little out of place in this show. I don't dislike the episodes he's been in, Stan's old owner was a good episode, and I like this episode too, but it's just kind of something that it felt out of place. It doesn't really, because it is mostly a family sitcom, just a typical family sitcom that happens to be about a talking dog, so I don't really like the whole evil scientist thing, but I kind of see its purpose in a sense too. So basically then what happens is that they're kind of holding the family hostage and they're bothering them and they're trying to get information out of them and stuff like that. And You see, Stan's old owner, who I can't remember his name, has this machine that he invented that is supposed to take the ability to talk from Stan and transfer that to other animals, so get other animals to talk to. In addition to Stan, it doesn't take that ability away from Stan. But then Stan goes and like reprograms it based on information that he learned from their neighbor Carl, who I mentioned before, taught him. And he's going to the kids and he's like, I'm going to reprogram this. I reprogram this so that it can make me, take away my ability to talk. And then this is kind of when it gets to this kind of big, emotional, dramatic stuff. And they're like, no, don't do it. Because they don't want to be without him. It's like he won't be the same with that ability to talk. It's like he's a person. Without it, it's like it's just a typical dog. It's kind of like losing him. But then he along with his two puppies, yes, he has puppies, who I don't mind. I think they're kind of cute. Go in the machine, and they come out, and it's like, and then Stan barks, and it's like, oh no. And it's like this really big emotional moment, and it's actually done very well. It's actually one of the few times in this show where I feel like there was like some real sticks. It's like kind of one of those like, part of my language, but shit just got real moments. Because basically it's like, it's always been just a nice, show where nothing bad ever happens, but then you get this real stuff where it's like, oh my god, something really horrible happened. Nothing's ever going to be the same again. And the family's really sad, especially the kids. That's like, oh my god, they've lost Stan. It's really well done. But then we surely find out after that it was all a trick by Stan and the puppies so they could escape. Because basically once Stan's gone, they just like let him go. Once they think Stan can't talk anymore, they just let him go out of this house. They have him trapped in. But then they hear him talking, it's like, get after him, and then they run away and they're able to escape them for a while. But then, basically, what happens is that they're still being chased after. They're able to get away and go back home, but they're still being chased after. So then what happens is basically that, okay, they need kind of a plan, so the Army and the Navy and all them will just leave Stan alone forever. So then they get this idea, which I'm kind of questioning whether or not it really makes much sense. The idea is that they're going to make Stan a celebrity, so no one will ever bother him again. I don't really follow the logic there, but maybe I'm just not thinking about it enough. I actually watched the episode twice, and I still don't totally get it, but whatever. They go and they go and get him to appear on this award show, which this scene actually has a very, some clever satire of like these kind of award shows things. As someone who follows those kind of things, yeah, it has some pretty good satire. But basically they go on the award show, Stan talks, and then they do kind of this whole musical number. Stan and the family sing about how he's a talking dog, which is a pretty catchy song, actually. And then that's about it.